Tonight on ABC News Live Prime, a deep freeze for millions of Americans. Arctic air brings in snow, ice, and freezing temperatures from the Rockies to the Midwest into the East Coast. Unseasonably early for many parts of the country. This is an atmospheric river targets the West Coast. Our Ginger Z is tracking it all. New evidence in the case against alleged CEO killer Luigi Mangione, pumping his fist for the cameras today as he walked into a Manhattan courtroom. A police officer testifying about what she found in his backpack when he was picked up at that Pennsylvania McDonald's.
I'm Aaron Katursky at the courthouse with an in-depth look in the latest in this case, including what prosecutors call Luigi Mangione's escape routes.
In a story involving the biggest names in entertainment, the real drama isn't happening on screen but off. Paramount launches a hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers, the parent company of HBO and CNN, just days after Warner announced a deal with Netflix. The president is now weighing in.
Netflix is a great company. They've done a phenomenal job. Ted is a fantastic man. I have a lot of respect for him, but it's a lot of market share. So we'll have to see what happens.
We break down the politics behind the headlines and what the news could mean for how you watch your favorite shows. And it's been a record year for tourism at Notre Dame. And now the church is getting ready for its final stage of post-fire renovation. On the one-year anniversary of its grand reopening, we take a look at the next stage of reconstruction and show you the iconic cathedral in all of its Christmas splendor. We're told that one of the most intricate aspects of this project was recreating the spire. It took 8 months to build it. It is just a masterpiece.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin tonight with the dangerous and life-threatening cold sweeping across the country. Temperatures in the single digits for millions of Americans, and out west, an atmospheric river that could dump up to a foot of snow in some places. Wind chills are set to plunge overnight into the teens and single digits from Michigan to Virginia to Maine. Firefighters in 5-degree wind chills battled a tour boat fire in Lake George, New York. And dangerous snow and ice is hitting several mid-Atlantic states. This was a scene in parts of Virginia. Roughly 5 inches of snow fell there, and that snow is moving into the Northeast. And when will all that rain hit California and the West Coast? Ginger Z has the forecast in a moment, but first, Matt Rivers leads us off.
Tonight, an Arctic air invasion, bringing a blast of snow and freezing cold to millions from the Midwest all the way east. Heavy snow stretching from Virginia to the Carolinas. Firefighters battling a blaze in frigid conditions outside Boston in the town of Tyngsboro. Temperatures in the teens.
These cold temperatures are hitting New York City a bit earlier than they normally do, so for many around here, it's been a bit of a shock.
Especially for people working outside, like Tayshawn Cole.
It's not even January yet. It feels cold out here, right?
Yeah, it is, but like when you start working, bro, since you overdress yourself, you don't get hot and stuff like that.
So that's the key, is to just be prepared?
Yeah.
Chicago slammed with nearly a half foot of snow in the last 24 hours on top of what they already got last week.
The combination of like the remelted ice and the fresh snow and everything was kind of like an adventure.
Almost 18 inches so far this season, almost as much as they got all of last year.
Linsey, back here in New York City, the cold is going to be stuck here for a while. Actual temperatures in the teens tonight, and another Arctic blast expected to arrive later this week. Linsey.
All right, thanks to Matt for that. And Ginger Z is tracking this frigid weather. Glad to see you all bundled up out there, Ginger.
That's the only way to survive, Linsey. It's been about 7 years since it's been this cold this early here in New York. So if it feels like a little slap in the face, probably because we've been relatively warm in parts of December until now. But not tonight. We're going to drop to 10 as it feels like as you get out the door in New York City tomorrow morning. Roanoke just had 3.5 inches of snow, so they've got a 15 for tomorrow morning's wind chill. And Burlington, Vermont, 8 below zero, the coldest of the week until the weekend, because that looks really cold too. We're in this La Nina pattern where the Great Lakes Northeast are cooler and the West and the Southwest are warmer, but they're also wetter. And that's the other big headline. Pacific Northwest, including Oregon and Washington State, those flood watches are in place for more than a half foot of rain. The Olympics, the Cascades, but even the valleys. So we're watching Seattle, Portland, Eugene into the northern Rockies. And then that storm in the Rockies, combined with this kind of Alberta clipper that's going to slip through, could produce wind gusts of 60 to 85 miles per hour. Montana, South Dakota, down into Breckenridge, Colorado. Then the winter storm warnings are in place because you're going to add snow to it up in parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Wisconsin, and you'll get blowing snow. So tomorrow evening between Minneapolis and Duluth, if you're traveling I-35 or say I-94 back over into Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Green Bay, you're going to end up with the snowy side. Chicago stays in the cold rain after the big snowy start to the season they've had. But don't worry, there's more in the forecast. Michigan, then parts of New York and Pennsylvania and New England getting into the snow by Wednesday. At the coast, it looks like will be a mix at best, if not all rain. But we'll keep an eye on that. And behind that system, we're very cold again with those incredibly frigid temperatures going into the weekend. Lindsay.
I'm still stuck on the 10 degrees here in New York tomorrow morning. I was hoping you were talking in Celsius, but afraid not.
Yeah.
Ginger, thank you.
Nope.
Tonight, shockwaves across Hollywood and Wall Street as Paramount attempts a hostile takeover of Warner Brothers after late Friday, the legendary movie studio announced it was selling to Netflix. Last night, President Trump said this about the possible acquisition.
Question, they have a very big market share. And when they have Warner Brothers, that share goes up a lot. So I don't know. That's going to be for some economists to tell. And I'll be involved in that decision, too.
Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, is part of the hostile takeover effort. For more now, we're joined by Elizabeth Schulze. Elizabeth, first, how does a hostile takeover work?
Okay, hostile, heated, epic. Lindsay, this is really a battle that could ultimately shape how we watch our favorite shows in a lot of platforms. First, let's just take a look at the two offers that are on the table right now. So what you have on Friday, Netflix announced this massive, nearly $83 billion deal to buy Warner Brothers. That did not include its cable networks. Netflix really wanted to get those franchises, things like Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, combine that into its app. It also offered, as you can see there, a $5.8 billion breakup fee. Basically, Netflix is saying we're going to pay Warner Brothers almost $6 billion if this deal is not approved by regulators. That's a huge amount of money. Then you have Paramount come out today with a $108 billion valuation on its offer. It not only wants to buy Warner Brothers and all those franchises, it also wants to buy cable networks. So that includes things like CNN. So now you have those two bids on the table. But basically what's happening here is a hostile takeover with Paramount saying, we know that this is not what the board of Warner Brothers wants. This is a company submitting an unsolicited bid out there. It's putting it out there and it's saying, this isn't what the company's leadership wants, but we don't care. We're trying to make an appeal directly to the shareholders of the company. And we hope that the company's shareholders, people who own the stock, will look at this and say, our offer is so much better that we're going to give a stake to this new buyer, in this case, Paramount, and we're willing to sell. And that's the way that Paramount can take control. Like, Lindsay, this is a pretty extreme measure. This works sometimes on Wall Street, but it is definitely an escalation in this bidding war over those valuable assets for Warner Brothers.
It certainly seems that way. So why would President Trump get involved?
Right. So any deal here needs President Trump's approval. It needs the approval of the Trump administration, at least from the Justice Department, from an antitrust perspective. That's what you heard President Trump talking about. This would create a huge company. And he says that could be a problem if a company is so big it's anti-competitive. At one point, we had thought Paramount would have an advantage there because we know now in this Paramount bid, the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is involved in this. The president has talked favorably about Paramount and its leadership because of Larry Ellison is run by his son. Larry Ellison's an ally of President Trump. But today, President Trump criticized Paramount. He also did meet with the CEO of Netflix. So there's a lot of politics involved here. But at the end of the day, any deal is going to really kind of need the blessing of the president.
Fascinating to see how it all plays out. Elizabeth Schulze, our thanks to you.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Alleged CEO killer Luigi Mangione was back in court today in his battle to have evidence tossed from the case. Tonight, what a Pennsylvania police officer said she found in his bag the day he was arrested. Here's our Aaron Katursky.
Accused murderer Luigi Mangione making a fist today in court as he battles over the evidence against him. On the witness stand, Officer Christy Wasser. She searched Mangione's backpack after responding to a tip about a man in a Pennsylvania McDonald's who resembled the suspect wanted for killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York.
I have a customer here that some other customers were suspicious of, that he looked like the CEO shooter from New York.
Customers at an Altoona McDonald's had noticed a young man eating breakfast in a corner seat.
Is this individual still there? Yes, he's still in the back of our lobby by the bathroom. Like 6 customers walked up to me and I was like, okay guys, I can't really do anything. But he's wearing a black sweater jacket with a medical mask and a tan khaki-colored beanie. The only thing you can see is his eyebrows.
After Mangione was arrested over this fake ID, Officer Wasser testified she picked up his backpack and felt the weight. It was heavy. Her body camera captured the moment she pulled out a pair of wet gray underwear. Rolled up inside, a loaded magazine. Wasser said the search was for safety. We're just making sure there's no bomb. But a defense attorney accused her of trying to justify an illegal search. Do you clear the McDonald's? Do you ask anybody to leave the area? The officer testified she did not. When Wasser searched the bag again, she found a 3D printed gun and silencer, along with writings that prosecutors say point to motive. The defense wants it all thrown out. And last week, Mangione came face-to-face in the courtroom with the Pennsylvania police officer who arrested him. Officer Joseph Detweiler testified that when he responded last December to a tip about a male who looks like the NYC shooter at this Altoona McDonald's, he was so skeptical he didn't even turn on his police siren. But as soon as the man pulled down his mask, the officer said, "I knew it was him immediately." Mangione tilted his head toward a courtroom screen, watching body camera footage from his arrest as his lawyers fight to get key evidence tossed out, including the alleged murder weapon and writings that said the target is insurance. It checks every box. The officer said Mangione gave him a fake name and ID for a Mark Rosario and claimed, "I'm homeless." But the officer didn't buy it. He's heard telling a supervisor, "I'm 100% sure it's him," adding, "He's nervous as hell. I saw his fingers shaking." It comes as prosecutors release a trove of new photographs, a bus ticket under another alias, Sam Dawson, a to-do list with notes for a hot meal, water, and survival kit. And today, prosecutors said police also found Mangione's escape routes in that backpack, a hand-drawn map of Pittsburgh with notes to check Pittsburgh red eyes and to keep momentum, FBI slower overnight. Also released last week, video that shows what happened after Mangione allegedly gunned down United Healthcare chief Brian Thompson. You can see the shooter walk toward the victim, appearing to briefly glance down as he lay dying on the sidewalk before turning to cross the street, then starting to run, disappearing down an alley. This woman, holding her coffee, seems to hear the first shot. She flinches as Thompson stumbles, then seems to look straight at the gunman, still taking aim, before she runs off. Seconds later, a man in the hotel steps outside, looks toward Thompson crumpled on the ground, and starts pointing in the suspect's direction. But it would be 3 minutes before police arrive and tend to the CEO, another 8 minutes until an ambulance pulls up.
They're looking for a male, about 5 feet, 10 inches in height, cream-colored jacket, black mask, black gloves.
As police launched a manhunt across the city, they allege Mangione escaped on a bike, dumped a backpack in Central Park, then hailed a taxi before he hopped a bus out of town.
Aaron Katersky joins us now. And Aaron, this hearing has already lasted several days. How much longer is expected to continue, and what happens once it's finally over?
Yeah, Lindsay, this could continue for several more days yet. There were as many as 14 different law enforcement officers who were in the McDonald's when Luigi Mangione was arrested. We might hear from all of them. 9 witnesses have testified so far, and when it's over, it will be up to the judge, Gregory Caro, to decide whether the contents of Luigi Mangione's backpack should be allowed when he eventually goes on trial. And defense attorneys want everything in the bag thrown out, questioning whether the officers from the small Altoona Police Department skipped steps and violated Mangione's rights because they were too eager to help solve a high-profile crime here in the big city. Lindsay?
Aaron Katersky for us. Thanks so much, Aaron. Tonight, President Trump is backtracking about whether he'll release the video showing the deadly second strike on survivors on that drug boat attack. Scrutiny has been building, as well as suggestions of possible war crimes. Here's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, President Trump backing away from his promise to release the video of that controversial and deadly second strike on an alleged drug boat that killed 2 survivors. Just last week, the president said he would release the video.
Will you release video of that strike so that the American people can see for themselves what happened?
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem.
But today, when I asked him, a different story.
Mr. President, you said you would have no problem with releasing the full video of that strike on September 2nd off the coast of Venezuela. Secretary Hegseth now says...
You said that. I didn't say that. This is ABC fake news.
You said that you would have no problem releasing the full bit. Okay, well, Secretary Hegseth...
Whatever Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
Over the weekend, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth would not commit to releasing the video.
Whatever we were to decide to release, we'd have to be very responsible about. So we're reviewing that right now.
A source tells ABC News the survivors were clinging to the capsized boat. that at one point they appeared to wave at something overhead. Democrats say the administration doesn't want the American people to see that the military fired on shipwrecked sailors in violation of the rules of law.
I think it's really important that people see what it looks like when the full force of the United States military is turned on two guys who are clinging to a piece of wood and about to go under.
But President Trump says he's now watched the video, and that's not what he saw.
I saw the video. They were trying to turn the boat back to where it could float. And we didn't want to see that because that boat was loaded up with drugs just like everything else.
And when I asked again, the commander-in-chief no longer promising to let the American people see for themselves.
I told you, whatever Pete Hegseth wants to do is okay with me.
Rachel joins us now from the White House. Rachel, what are lawmakers doing to try to get that video released?
Well, many lawmakers have seen this video. So far, Hegseth has not committed to releasing it. And so you have some lawmakers on Capitol Hill who are trying to squeeze this into an annual must-pass bill that helps fund our military. They are trying to put language into this bill, get it passed through Congress that would essentially force Hegseth's hand and to release this video altogether. Right now, it's unclear whether or not this is going to happen, but there is certainly pressure on the Pentagon to get this video out there, Lindsay.
Rachel Scott for us. Thanks so much, Rachel. The Supreme Court is poised to issue a landmark decision expanding presidential powers, giving President Trump the authority to fire members of bipartisan independent agencies for any reason. Our senior Washington reporter, Devin Dwyer, joins us now. So, Devin, tell us where this argument stemmed from originally.
Yeah, well, Lindsay, this case stems from President Trump's bid to fire the Democratic members of the Federal Trade Commission purely for policy reasons. The FTC is one of 24 so-called independent agencies. They have members appointed by presidents, but who are only supposed to be removable for cause. Congress designed them to be free from direct White House control, to be bipartisan, to have members that bridge administrations, to preserve some consistency in key areas of American life. And Trump has argued that that arrangement is unconstitutional, that the Constitution gives him full control over agencies that create rules and enforce laws. And today, Lindsay, all 6 conservative justices appear poised to agree with him in most cases and give him that power.
What kind of precedent could this set?
Well, in legal terms, this would shred 90 years of precedent. The Supreme Court in 1935 said the president could not do this. So by giving him this power, they would be flipping that case, but it would transform government as we've known it, expanding the power of the president to install leaders at these agencies that are sharing his view, regulating stock trades, transportation systems, election campaigns, consumer product safety. These independent agencies touch so many aspects of our lives, and in the view of senior liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor, it could destroy the structure of government. Those are her words. Elena Kagan, even stronger, give massive, unchecked, uncontrolled power to the president. The conservatives didn't share those views, but certainly a decision in the president's favor would be a big win.
Wide-ranging implications. When could we expect a decision?
Well, the final decision in this case is expected in June, but I should say, Lindsay, there is one caveat to all of this. The Federal Reserve, it's also an independent agency, but the court today suggested it is different and might get a big carve-out from presidential control. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Devin Dwyer for us. Thanks so much, Devin.
You bet.
Tonight, once one of President Trump's most vocal allies, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, is now openly criticizing his policies. The president is calling her a traitor. What she says was her breaking point as she gets ready to resign her seat in Congress. Here's Mary Bruce.
She was one of President Trump's most fervent supporters, promoting his agenda, defending him at every turn, and proudly wearing that red MAGA cap.
The greatest president in United States history, Donald J. Trump. Right, Georgia? Let's get it done.
But tonight, Trump lashing out at Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling her a traitor who went bad because she was, quote, jilted by the President of the United States. It's been a bitter public breakup. On 60 Minutes, Greene accusing Trump of making her the target of death threats.
He did this in the same time span where President Trump brought in the al-Qaeda leader that was wanted by the U.S. government, who is now the president of Syria. Then within a week, he brought in the Crown Prince, MBS, who murdered an American journalist. And then he brought in the newly elected Democrat socialist mayor of New York. That was the time span that he called me a traitor.
Green says her breaking point was Trump's refusal to release the FBI files on sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
And he called me a traitor for standing with these women.
But that wasn't the only issue. Green says Trump is no longer, quote, America first, focusing too much on foreign affairs and not enough on health care and the economy. She's going public with what she says a lot of her Republican colleagues say in private.
I watched many of my colleagues go from making fun of him, making fun of how he talks, making fun of me constantly for supporting him, to when he won the primary in 2024, they all started, excuse my language, Leslie, kissing his ass and decided to put on a MAGA hat for the first time.
Now, as for what comes next for Green, she says she has zero plans and no desire to run for president or governor, saying she doesn't, quote, have a whole itinerary of plans or political ambition. Lindsay.
Mary, thank you. Today, Japan was rattled by a major earthquake centered in the northern Pacific Ocean just off the country's coast. The 7.6 magnitude quake also triggered a tsunami warning, and nuclear power plants in the region are now conducting safety checks. Here's Trevor Hall.
Tonight, a powerful earthquake rocking Japan's northern coast, triggering mass evacuations and multiple tsunami warnings. At least 30 people injured, many of them hit by falling objects. Violent shaking caught on surveillance cameras. Chandeliers swinging in homes. Cars swaying in that parking lot. Water spilling out of these indoor fish tanks. A 7.5 magnitude quake struck around 11:15 p.m. local time off the Pacific coast of Aomori. On Hokkaido Island, tsunami sirens blaring, jolting many people awake in Hakodate. Multiple tsunami waves reported, authorities urging nearly 100,000 people in coastal communities to seek higher ground.
And Lindsay, as Japanese officials assess the damage, there's still the ongoing threat of aftershocks. One of them just registered as a strong 6.7 magnitude quake. Lindsay?
Trevor, thank you. The National Park Service is revising its free admission days for next year. The agency is dropping free entry on Martin Luther King Jr. Day and Juneteenth, but adding June 14th, which is Flag Day and also President Donald Trump's birthday. Critics say the move downplays key dates in America's civil rights history while elevating the president's image. The change takes effect January 1st and comes alongside higher fees for international visitors. Alina Habba has resigned her position as acting U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey, ending a 3-month legal battle over her appointment. Habba announced the move on social media, saying she'll remain serving as a senior advisor to Attorney General Pam Bondi. Her resignation comes after legal challenges over whether she could serve without Senate confirmation. A federal judge ruled she lacked lawful authority, a decision upheld by an appeals court, and the Justice Department did not challenge it. The Louvre staff has voted to go on strike next week, citing price increases for non-European visitors and poor working conditions. Workers blame the museum's insufficient staffing, improper building structure, and poor security that was exposed during the $100 million heist in October. All of this while a museum official says 300 to 400 of its historic books from the 19th and 20th century were damaged by a water leak last month. They'll be dried and restored before returning to shelves. From one Parisian landmark to the next. Coming up, it's been 1 year since the iconic Notre Dame reopened its doors after a devastating fire. And now in the final stage of reconstruction, ABC News Live got a personal look at how the famed cathedral is being restored to its old glory. Plus, a multi-billion-dollar bailout. Could a potential promise from the Trump administration be enough to bail out American farmers? And you have to see it to believe it. A humanoid robot and its CEO go head-to-head in the ring. Welcome back, everyone. 1 year ago today, Paris's famed Notre Dame Cathedral reopened after that devastating fire. We're just back from Paris and got a chance to see the beautiful renovation up close and how the famed cathedral is getting ready to welcome visitors for the holiday season.
1 year since reopening, Paris's famed Notre Dame Cathedral is still undergoing a stunning resurrection. Amidst stones that whisper of flames, tourists gather, some with closed eyes in prayer, others with wide-eyed wonder. But all who enter here, whether seeking faith or history, find themselves looking upward. The nativity scene is once again a big draw during this Christmas season. On December 24th, the small Bible will be replaced with a baby. Outside, scaffolding serves as a reminder that this 850-year-old building is still healing, still becoming, restoring what 2019's fire tried to claim but could not extinguish.
All right.
All suited up, we went to see the restoration still in progress, expected to be finished in 2028.
Bonjour, Monsieur Jost, Linsey.
Bonjour.
Je m'appelle Linsey.
Philippe Jost is Secretary General of Notre Dame, charged with overseeing this massive undertaking of reconstruction.
President Macron at the time said, we're going to build this up, it's going to be even more beautiful. Do you think you've achieved that?
We are very happy of what has been done here.
Okay.
Je vous en prie, allez-y.
Let's see.
So we will go up and you will see what has been done last year and years before and see what is in course now. So we're taking this lift.
One of the first restorative wonders we see, that wooden spire topped with the famed golden rooster that had dramatically collapsed in the flames.
So we see here what we have done.
The spire.
The spire is on wood, oak.
Okay, it's wood.
Completely wood, but the wood is covered with lead. But very thin.
Okay.
Lead.
And is that how it was originally made?
Yeah,
okay.
Totally. The same materials, oak, lead, stone, and the same way to build.
They did add one thing that wasn't in the original build, fire protection.
We did what we call an authentic restoration.
Okay.
A restoration that's required 2,000 workers from 250 companies with a cost of roughly $1 billion. Throughout the process, unique touches were added by those tasked with the Herculean effort to bring Notre Dame back to life. One of them is inside that famous spire.
In the rooster, there is a parchment paper with the names of all people who have worked for that.
Wow, that's so impressive.
And their names are there for centuries.
Wow. How do Parisians feel about this? Is there a sense of pride when you look at this building?
And not only Parisian, a very clearly national pride that we were able to do that in 5 years, and we were able to mobilize so beautiful skills.
How do you feel personally?
Personally, I was very, very happy to work on this monument. I'm Catholic, so I was fond of this monument for a lot of reasons. A lot of us, and I can say it's a work of a life.
Jost says that Americans were second only to the French in giving money for the rebuilding of Notre Dame.
I think it's very significant of the closeness of relationship between France and United States. And I want so to thank all American donors, and also to say, continue to give.
You still need more money.
Still give more money because the monument needs more money.
How much more do you need?
We valued that to 150 million euros.
The holiday season in Paris now in full swing, with this crown jewel still under repair, but very much alive.
We feel there's a soul inside this building.
It's the soul of a cultural monument, Catholic monument, and it's the soul of all that people who has worked here have given to the monument. The monument is not ordinary, and what we have done together is not ordinary.
quite a feat they have pulled off there. Our thanks to Mr. Jost for the conversation. Coming up, the holiday spirit returns less than a year after a devastating fire in Los Angeles. And the college football playoff is set, and one team is so salty it didn't make it in, they're bowing out of bowl games altogether this year. We go by the numbers and are hanging with Coach Herm Edwards. Welcome back to Prime. Here's a look at the stories making headlines right now. Congress could pass new legislation that would compel Secretary Hegseth to provide lawmakers with the unedited boat strike video. The military video allegedly shows 2 people being killed in the Caribbean Sea after an initial strike on a suspected drug boat left them alive in the water. The House is expected to vote on the bill this week. The Senate must take it up by the end of the month. Luigi Mangione, the accused killer of the United Healthcare CEO, is back in court for a critical pretrial hearing. A police officer who searched Mangione's backpack when he was apprehended at a Pennsylvania McDonald's took the stand today. Mangione's defense lawyers are trying to exclude critical evidence that they say was illegally seized from his backpack without a warrant. Freezing temperatures are hitting millions across America this week. Wind chills are in the single digits and the teens from Colorado to the Carolinas into the Northeast. And up to 5 inches of snow is expected in parts of the east with a new storm threat in the west. A video from Saturday captured 3 Waymo self-driving cars frozen in an apparent standoff on a residential street in San Francisco. Waymo has said it is issuing a voluntary software recall in its self-driving vehicles after a series of close call incidents, including an illegal maneuver of passing a stopped school bus. And still ahead, college football playoff controversy, the school excluded from the big games and their response. Plus, Golden Globe nominations are in, and Hollywood is talking about who got lucky and who got left off the list, the snubs, the surprises, and the new category coming up. Welcome back, everyone. There were fireworks this weekend as the college football playoff is now set, and one team was so upset they said no to a bowl game altogether. Let's take a look at just what happened by the numbers. There are 136 teams eligible for the college football playoff. Ultimately, just 12 teams made it. 4 of the teams were from last year's field: Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, and Indiana. A lot of firsts in this year's playoff. In 1955 was the last time Texas Tech won its conference. Number 16, Ole Miss has its record best in 63 years. And the Tulane Green Wave is on its best run since the 1930s, making their first college football playoff. Now the controversy is over number 10 Miami and the selection committee's decision to choose the school over powerhouse Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost to Miami 27-24 in week 1 of the season, but had been ranked ahead of Miami for most of the season and won their last 10 games. The selection committee flipped the 2 teams right ahead of the playoff teams being announced. Notre Dame was so angry it refused its spot in the Pop-Tart Bowl. The athletic director saying the rankings can't just be musical chairs at some 5th grade birthday party. They need to mean something. The school clarified today, saying it has nothing against Pop-Tarts. And for our weekly look into the sport world, it's time for Hanging with Herm with Coach Herm Edwards. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. As always, let's start right there. We just left off with some college football playoff information here. How does Notre Dame being left out sit with you? Unfair? Is it fair?
You're asking a Catholic, so I'll just say this. The committee has a tough job. There's no doubt about that. And, you know, I want to congratulate all the teams that have been selected, the 12 teams that got in. They're well-deserved, but it's kind of ironic that Notre Dame did not get into this playoffs. So, you know, I think the committee's going to have to look at how they go about the selection. I would hope eventually the college football, because it's so big, that they would take the model from the NFL and get a commissioner and really run it that way and maybe put these teams all in conferences. And that's kind of what hurt Notre Dame. They're not in the conference. And they're in the ACC and all other sports, but in football they're independent. They've always been independent. I understand that. But there's always going to be a team slighted, and it happened this year to be Notre Dame.
So what do you think about them then taking that slight and saying, you know what? You guys, we're not even going to play in a bowl game as a result of this.
Well, that's interesting, and I would hope they decided to do that, but I hope they visited with the athletes, because bowl games are for a lot of these guys when you're a senior. You know, that's going to be your last game as a college athlete. So, and I'm pretty sure they discussed it with the team. And if that's the case, then okay, they made a decision.
Which round one games are you most looking forward to watching?
You know what? Ohio State. I mean, you know, I want to see Ohio State and Indiana compete in this. It's going to be kind of interesting when you look at all these bowl bids and you know, Miami's sitting there against Texas A&M. Ohio State is sitting there. I want to see how Ohio State and Indiana fare when they have to play. We know how good Georgia is, but it's going to kind of be interesting at these first games. Obviously, Oregon against James Madison. That's you know, that you look at that one and you go, that could be tough for James Madison. I mean, that could, and Tulane against Ole Miss, that could be kind of tough too.
Who's your pick to win it all?
Well, obviously, my girls go to Texas. They're not involved in it.
Yeah.
And then me being a Catholic, the Notre Dame's not involved in it. So I'm just going to watch it and see who wins. Yeah, I'm good. I'm safe.
And my UVA Cavaliers aren't in it either. Wah, wah. But now switching to the NFL, the most dominant team of the last decades is on the ropes. The Chiefs have a slim chance of making the playoffs. Even if they win out, they will still need a lot of help. Is the dynasty over?
Well, for this year, obviously, they're going to have to retool this thing, and they try to make one more run, but it started bad for them when the season started. You know, they were injured a little bit. Offensive linemen were hurt. A lot of receivers were missing, and Patrick Mahomes was trying to carry this football team, but it's been a very difficult season for them. I say that, and they still have a chance, but I think it's very slim if they get into the playoffs. A lot of teams have to lose now. And that's what you don't want. You don't want teams having to lose, and you have to win counting on someone else to lose. So it's been a tough season for the Chiefs.
The Eagles play the Chargers tonight. Your thoughts? What can we expect going into it?
Well, hopefully the Eagles have shored up their run defense because it has not been very good in the last couple weeks, and that's been the problem. They can't stop anybody, and offensively they can't score points. So they're playing a Chargers team that's excited about playing them, Monday Night Football and this Eagle team needs to get going because right now they are not the Eagle team that they played last year. They've been injured too. A lot of defensive linemen gone. They lost some players. I get all that. But they have not been competitive the last 2 weeks.
Fly, Eagles, fly. All right, Coach Herm, appreciate you being here as always.
Thank you.
Coming up, the controversy over video of a humanoid robot kicking the company's CEO. And it's already getting awards at Sundance. Next, we're joined by one of the stars of Atropia that's being called a war film, but it's not depicting a war as you might think. We'll explain coming up. Welcome back, everyone. For decades, Henry Winkler has shined as one of Hollywood's favorite character actors, whether as the Fonz on Happy Days or more recently as Gene Cousineau on HBO's Barry. He's always captivated audiences with genuine warmth and charm. Winkler has also had a storied career as the author of 40 children's books, now bringing his wit and humanity to the pages of the latest third installment of his Detective Duck series. And before that, the dozens of best-selling books in the Hank Zipser series. Zipser serves as Winkler's alter ego, and both are dyslexic. I had a chance to sit down with Winkler for an all-access interview airing later tonight. Here's a sneak peek.
Funny little story that you reminded me of. You said you just read your first novel at 31.
Yes.
You did an interview where you said you didn't learn how to really act until you were 72.
That is true.
What took you so long?
I'm a slow learner. Do you know what? My self-image was so down around my ankles for so long.
There are two kinds of people, cool and nerds, and the people down in Arnold's are nerds.
I had a dream at 27. That's when I got the Fonz. Mm-hmm. And I changed my voice, and it unleashed my imagination. Mm. And then I knew what I wanted at 27, but it took me until Barry at 72 to really come into comfort level, being able to do what my imagination wanted.
And you can catch the rest of my all-access interview with Henry Winkler now streaming on Hulu and Disney+. The multi-billion-dollar aid package that could be coming for farmers. The Miss Universe contestant finally heads home after a terrible onstage fall. And the Golden Globe nominations are in. The snub surprises, a brand new category, and everything in between. These stories and much more in tonight's Rundown. President Trump announced a major aid package to help American farmers. The $12 billion package is intended to help farmers who've been impacted by recent trade policies, including global tariffs, with funds being distributed in one-time bridge payments. During a White House event with farmers announcing the package, Trump said the money for the package was coming from tariff revenue. Miss Universe Jamaica is set to return home after suffering a serious fall at last month's Miss Universe competition. The Miss Universe organization and the family of Dr. Gabrielle Henry said she will return to Jamaica with a full medical escort team in the coming days, adding that she will be transferred directly to a hospital. Henry fell through an opening on the stage while walking in a preliminary evening gown round in the competition. Her family says she suffered an intracranial hemorrhage with loss of consciousness, among other serious injuries. Chinese robotics company Engine AI released video of its new humanoid robot kicking its CEO. The T-800 robot is seen appearing to knock down the company's CEO, who was wearing protective padding in a simulated fight. Engine AI released this video and others of the humanoid robot in action to dispel rumors that earlier videos of the robot were CGI. Altadena's historic Christmas Tree Lane was lit up once again less than a year after the devastating Eaton fire. The holiday tradition has been around for more than a century and is considered one of the oldest and largest holiday lighting celebrations. And this year it serves as a symbol of cheer and hope for the community as it continues to recover from the deadly January fire.
It's like putting your pieces of your life back together again. And slowly, surely, we're going to heal.
Former MLB second baseman Jeff Kent was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Kent was the only player this year to reach the threshold of votes needed to be elected by the Hall of Fame's Contemporary Era Committee. He will be inducted into the Hall of Fame in July alongside anyone chosen by the Baseball Writers Association of America in January. Kent played 17 seasons across 6 teams and was a 5-time All-Star. Golden Globe nominations were announced today across film and television. One battle after another led all films with 9 nominations, including Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. Wicked for Good was not nominated in that Best Motion Picture category, but stars Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande did receive nods. The White Lotus led all television series with 6 nominations, including Best Television Series Drama. And new this year, one podcast will be honored with the first ever Golden Globe for Best Podcast. The ceremony will take place on January 11th. You could call the new film Atropia a war film, but the war envisioned is just rehearsal for the real thing. It just won the Grand Jury Prize for Dramas at Sundance and stars Alia Shawkat, who you know from her star roles on Arrested Development and HBO's Search Party. Written and directed by Hailey Gates, Atropia follows the lives of actors in post-9/11 America playing their part in fake Iraqi villages built by the U.S. military to simulate a war that never ends. The film takes the real-life experiences behind those actors and soldiers and brings them into the world of a romantic comedy. It's part laughs, part documentary, and part political commentary on America. Let's take a look.
Don't tell anyone I told you.
Why?
Because you get weird when the movie people come.
Movie people? I do not. Movie or TV movie?
Important distinction there. Joining us now, star of Atropia, Alia Shawkat, and writer-director Hailey Gates. Thank you both so much for joining us. Congratulations. Exciting time with the premiere
Thank you for having us.
tonight here in New York. So you all had paired up 7 years ago, right? Initially planned on doing a documentary. What made you decide to change this actually into a satire?
I had spent a lot of time visiting the bases and doing a lot of research trying to make a documentary. And, there are lots of rules about what you can and can't film and sort of trade secrets that the DOD, or DOW now, doesn't want you to film. So I thought the circumstance really lent itself to comedy, and I really wanted to make a kind of MASH style film for the 9/11 generation.
What happened in the 7 years in between?
We had come together and made a short film called Shakumaku by the Miu Miu Women's Tales. That was the same story with the same kind of character. So we came together first creatively to make this short, and it turned out really beautifully. And then it took us, I guess, 7 years, which is crazy. But the 7-year itch, as they say, it came back around, and we were at a moment of creative frustration, and we were like, why don't we just make a film out of this beautiful story that only we could make, really? So we went ahead.
And did you feel that having it as a satire versus nonfiction would actually be a more fitting critique of the American military in the Iraq War?
Absolutely. I mean, so much of what we did during that time is quite comically horrific, so I think it definitely lent itself to that.
And you're yourself an Iraqi American. Give us a sense of your relationship with your character. Did it feel personal for you?
Yeah, too much so, honestly. Yeah, I mean, being Arab as an actor, there's definitely tropic roles that you're right for, definitely at a period of time, post 9/11 for sure. I mean, the first role I ever did besides my Barbie commercial was in a David O. Russell movie playing an Iraqi refugee. So it's kind of like, I'll just kind of fill the role wherever it fits me.
As we mentioned, this movie, and congratulations, got top honor at Sundance. Were you concerned at all that a film like this, that is politically charged, would be embraced?
Yeah, of course. I mean, especially in this time, everybody's really operating out of fear, particularly in the film business. And I thought maybe we would, sneak our way in through comedy, but it's important to us to stick to our guns, and we made the movie that we wanted to make.
And what does this say going forward about political commentary? Would you do it again?
Yeah, I would do it again, of course. Yeah, definitely. We had so much fun, and it's a movie that we're really proud of. And
I think you could only make political comedies going forward, actually. It's the only way out.
I know you said you've seen it one time. You've seen it a few times. Have you seen it with an audience to see if the jokes land?
Yeah, I have seen it with an audience. Yes. And they land. They land for sure.
All right. Well,
I guess it depends on the crowd.
Thank you both so much, and continued success. You can see Atropia, starring Alia Shawkat and directed and written by Hailey Gates, in select theaters beginning on Friday. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.